See, I lay in Zion a stone that causes people to stumble, and a rock that makes them fall. And the one who believes in him will never be put to shame. See, I lay in Zion a stone that causes people to stumble, and a rock that makes them fall. And the one who believes in him will never be put to shame. Greeting, guys. It is me here with a message of the kingdom of heaven. Guys, today I wanted us to start this short series. It's going to be a series because we're going to be speaking about it in great detail, bit by bit, and we're just going to cover certain things, about what the scripture means. I've been saying for a very long time that Jesus, many people don't want him. Many people did not want him. Even the people, guys, who claim to be the children of God, they don't realize that they don't want him. And in this short series, we are going to be speaking about all of those things because sometimes we don't realize we don't love a particular person, but we don't realize. And sometimes we love a particular person, but we don't realize we love them. So we usually think that love is just automatic, as if like you can love anyhow. Unfortunately, guys, it ain't like that. You need to understand the nature of the person you are to love, and also understand how to love them. Particularly Daddy and Jesus, those two people, guys, they are different. Guys, I might be a child of God, but I'm a human being. I don't know if you understand. Daddy and Jesus, guys, they are God. They are God. They are in the God level. I remember in one of the Gospels, Jesus was saying that we are called gods. The scripture said that we are gods. I cannot remember where it was, but I think he mentioned it in the Gospel of John. Even though Daddy calls us God, I think it's because we came from a God. So obviously, things happened, guys, after Adam sinned and died spiritually and we partook of Satan's nature. We became less of that level, you understand? So we fell. We fell from that level, the level of Godship, because obviously if I come from God, I'm obviously in his level. But if Adam is now dead spiritually and is disconnecting, and I'm still in Adam's loins and you are still in Adam's loins, you are now losing Godship. So we fell from that level, the level of Godship. So when Daddy is saying that we are gods, I mean, to us, it's like, what the heck are you talking about? I'm a human being, And then you look at Jesus and you're like, he's a son of man. But guys, it's just not going to be possible for us to really fathom the makeup, the nature of Jesus, because the guy never died spiritually. So there are things that we really can never understand. There are things that we can try by all means. Paul says that we know in part, we see in part, and we hear in part. So that one, guys, we need to understand very well, because it's important, guys, to understand these things, so that we will also know how to love them. Because, guys, there is a way to love Daddy. If you read the Gospel of John, no, it's not a Gospel, it's actually the letters. If it's not the last letter, 3rd John or 1st John chapter 5, can't remember, guys, with my dementia, but there John is speaking about the fact that there is a way to love God. You can't just love God. Even Jesus, he says that if you don't obey my commands, you don't love me. Like you find many people saying that they are Christians, they go to church, yet they don't obey his commands, and they say that they love God. We love God, we love God, and yet Jesus says, you love me because you obey my commands. So there are things that people don't know, they don't realize. So these things must be taught. So especially to love Daddy and Jesus, how to love them, a person must be taught to love those two, because they are really difficult to love. You need to obey them to love them. You just can't love them anyhow. You can't just go and have sex with your boyfriend and have sex with your girlfriend and then you go to church and claim to love God, you are actually blaspheming. You are actually a hypocrite to Him. You understand? And you'll be like, what do you mean I do love God? You don't love God. You only love God when you obey His commands. That's what He says. He says, he who loves me will obey my commands. You find that in the Gospel of John. So even Jesus, He obeyed Daddy's commands because He loved God. So there are things that you will discipline yourself and not do because you love Him. Because if you don't, because guys, if you do them, you will lose Him, or you will lose them. So if you love them, you will stop doing those things, and that is loving them. You see, guys, until you learn to discipline yourself, and say, you know what, if I disobey this man, I'm going to lose him. It's like, guys, if you are married and you're cheating on your spouse, cheating on your spouse means that you don't love your spouse. Because if you love your spouse, you will control yourself. True or false? I mean, guys, hello. Hello, guys. There are things we don't want to talk about. If you love your spouse, you're not going to cheat on them. It's just unfortunate. That's just the truth, guys. With me, guys, I'm just frank. I don't want to beat about the bush. If you cheat on, guys, if you cheat on me, it means you don't love me. Because if you love me, you will control yourself. It's just simple. It's simple as that. So it's the same thing. I came to understand those things when I started dealing with Daddy and Jesus, because they are different beings, different, way different. So they let you in. They make you understand how to love them. So it's important to understand that as well. I remember, guys, I was speaking about the fact that you need to calculate your cost. In one of the podcasts, I was mentioning the fact that you need to calculate your cost before you follow Jesus. Because, guys, Jesus is very expensive. One expensive guy. You can't keep Jesus when you love money. You need to stop loving money in order to retain Jesus. Otherwise, you're going to lose Jesus. You need to stop loving the things of the world in order to retain Jesus. Otherwise, you can't keep Jesus. You need to stop having sex with your partner if you're not married, if you love Jesus. Otherwise, you can't keep Him. You need to stop loving riches and running after riches if you love Jesus. Otherwise, you can't keep Him. You understand? So when you're doing those things knowingly, you can't keep Jesus. It's impossible. So the guy is extremely expensive. Very, very, very expensive. It might be easy to keep you because I will run after money and keep you. You understand? I will cheat on you and still keep you because you are cheap. When you cheat on someone and you still keep them, it means that person is cheap. The guys, they are still with you because they are cheap. If they were expensive, they will leave you. You understand? So with Jesus, He lets you know how to love Him, and He lets you know how expensive He is. Guys, He brought a blood, and He doesn't need even your 10 cent. He doesn't need anything from you. He doesn't need $10. He doesn't need anything from you. He just needed to obey Him. That's all. So it seems as if Jesus is cheap, yet the guy is extremely expensive. I don't know, guys, if you understand what I'm talking about. The guy is way too expensive to keep him. You need to stop doing those things. Guys, people find it difficult even to give up chocolate for Jesus, and you ask them to give up their boyfriends and girlfriends.